Hi, I'm Guy Powell, and welcome to the next episode of the Backstory on the Shroud of Turin. If you haven't already done so, please visit guypowell.com and sign up for more episodes. Today, we're talking with Mark Guscin. He is a shroud and sudarium researcher. I am the author of the upcoming book, The Only Witness, a history of the Shroud of Turin. It's a historical fiction tracing a possible yet plausible history of the Shroud over the last 2 millennia. So, with that, let me introduce Mark. Mark Guscin obtained a first class honors degree in Latin and Greek from the University of Manchester at the age of 19 and a PhD in history from the universities of London and Oviedo, Spain. He is the author of various books of popular and academic history, including an award winning biography of Lady Hester Stanhope, which he wrote in Spanish, a biography of Sir John Moore, also in Spanish, and various books on religious history. His publications also include La Piedra del Destino in 2006, A Very Good Sort of Man, a biography of Charles Louis Marion in 2017, and Las Coruñas del Mundo in 2019, and with Cambridge scholars, The Tradition of the Image of Edessa and the Murder of Asunta Yongfang in 2018. He also runs a translation agency in Spain. Recently, he also wrote the book, The History of the Sudarium of Oviedo, How It Came from Jerusalem to Northern Spain in the 7th century AD. Mark, thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
My pleasure. Thanks very much for inviting me. I hope
Abs-
we'll be able to talk about various different aspects of the shroud and the sudarium, see how they can possibly fit together, provide joint supporting circumstantial evidence.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's quite a bit there. But before we do that, tell us what your backstory is on the Shroud of Turin and also how you got involved with the Sudarium of Oviedo.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to my days at school in Leeds in the north of England. And I was at a Jesuit school, and one day they decided that they were going to take us to the cinema to see David Rolfe's first documentary, okay, The Silent Witness, back in 1978, it must have been. And what was funny about that, and it actually got in the local newspapers, is that the standard cinemas wouldn't show it because they had all of their timetables booked up and everything. And the only cinema that they could find that would project it for schools and people was, I suppose you could delicately call it an adult cinema, okay, that showed adult films. But as that was late at night, so it got in the newspapers, that schoolboys from a Jesuit school are going to an X-rated cinema on the school's authority. It was quite funny. But well, they showed us this documentary, The Silent Witness, and it just sort of really got me hooked. I'll be forever in debt to David Rolfe for that. I've met David on numerous occasions. I've worked with him and been in other films that he's made, and it's great. He's the guy that actually introduced me to this subject, and then because of my studies, the degree in Latin and Greek and classics and everything, it just sort of seemed to fit in that the weak area in shroud studies was, and to an extent still is, the history of the cloth. And then when I emigrated to Spain, I found out about the sudarium and how it's like a complementary. I hesitate to use the word relic because that is like automatically saying it's authentic. But I'll use the word just because it's the easiest word to use. And again, the history there, you've got this great limitation. There's not that many people today who are fluent in Latin and Greek under a certain age because, not that many people study.